Good morning. Well, today we'll take up a new issue, a different issue, and that is the political apologies. I think you recollect Prime Minister Harper had apologized for the Chinese head test. Then he apologized for the atrocities committed in the residential schools. And then he apologized in a Gurdwara for Kamagata Maru ship incident. And now, Justin Trudeau, our new iconic Prime Minister, does not want to be left behind. So he has declared unequivocally that he'll go one step ahead of Prime Minister Harper. While Harper apologized for Kamagata Maru incident in a Gurdwara in Vancouver, our Justin Trudeau, the youthful Prime Minister, would apologize in the House of Commons for the same incident. The apology repeated. And that is to satisfy the lacerated, injured souls of Sikhs in particular and Punjabis in general. Now, what's the relevance of these apologies? I'm not condoning Kamagata Maru incident. I'm not condoning the Chinese head test. But is the apology relevant? Apology is supposed to be made by the person who has committed the crime or the sin. First thing is that a crime? Crime is an action taken against law, in violation of law. The Chinese head tests, as well as Kamagata Maru, were two incidents that took place as per law. The law was bad, agreed, but that was the law. And until and unless the law is changed, which has been changed now, the apology has no relevance. But the change of the law is never with retrospective effect, because the retrospectively you cannot help people. Secondly, there is a law of limitation. Any action is valid for a certain period of time. Even the classified files are released after a certain period of time, 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, 50 years, as per a country. So, to apologize for a legal action, legal at that time, at the time of occurrence, is something contradictory in nature. Second, psychologically, an apology is made by the person who was involved and who was responsible. Neither Harper nor Justin Trudeau were in any way responsible for Kamagata Maru or for Chinese head test. So why the apology? Apology is a desire to express a feeling of anguish, a feeling of atonement, a feeling of not being appropriate or for taking an inappropriate action. These people did not take action. These people were not responsible for making the law, but they are apologizing. Apology, secondly, is supposed to assuage your own conscience. If you have not taken a wrong action, why the apology? That means apology is a mere expression of some words which have no substance, no meaning. And in case it's meaningless, then what it is? Is it an apology? No. It is a political maneuver to sideline the feelings if they have been injured, and secondly, to garner appreciation with an ulterior purpose. And the purpose here in both the cases was very clear, to ensure that the Sikhs vote for them. Well, as far as voting and getting votes is concerned, I can accept it. I can believe that you indulge in such things. But apologizing in House of Commons as the first citizen, or rather as a leader of the nation, means that this generation of the Canadian is responsible for the sins committed by the grandfathers and great-grandfathers. The sins of the parents must not visit the children. It may be right theologically that the sins of the fathers visit the sons. But in the civil law context, the son is not responsible for the crime of the father. So, this apology is redundant. Now come to the second part. Here I am playing a devil's advocate. Kamagata Maru came here and it had sufficient fuel to go back. That means that the planners of that visit were very well aware that they will not be permitted entry into Vancouver, and they were prepared to go back. So it was a willful violation of that law. And do you know, the name of that party was Gadar Party, mutineers. They were patriots as far as we are concerned, but they were mutineers as far as the government was concerned. There is a very thin line between a mutineer and a freedom fighter, or a terrorist and a freedom fighter. And that thin line is often obliterated. But when you are doing something, when you are taking an action, you have got to see it from the perspective of both sides. So this was an action against a group that was professedly against the established law and order authority. And they were aware that they will not be permitted entry. They were ready to go back. They were prepared to go back. Not ready, of course, but they were prepared to go back. And what they were doing was against the prevalent law. Civil objection, civil right is a right. Civil disobedience is a right. But civil disobedience is by the citizens of that country. Those people were foreigners. They were not Canadians. They had come to seek refuge in Canada, but seeking refuge and giving refuge is a prerogative and the privilege of the refuge giver. Refuge cannot be taken as a matter of right. It's a privilege which may be granted, which may not be granted. So when people apologize for such incidents, which at that time were legal, which were fully justified as per the law prevailing at that time, which were countenanced by the authorities as per the written law, and then later on, half a century later on, a century later on, 2 centuries later on, their successors decide to apologize and appear repentant, covered in ash, smeared in ash, and wearing sackcloth. It only shows a definitive attitude, a desire to hoodwink people. My objection is against this process of hoodwinking. This is essential deceit. This is playing on the feelings of the people and is nothing better than blood sucking. It's an emotion sucking process. Should it be permitted? Politically, you might say yes. The people who are politically correct Or the people who feel that their egos are being satisfied by the apology would say yes. And I know many of you would have an issue with it, with what I'm saying, because you feel happy that it's being done. Some of you, I mean. But it's neither right as far as the law is concerned, nor is it right as far as the psychology of repentance and apology is concerned. It's violative of the human relationship. It's violative of the basic concept of apology and makes a mockery of apology. Until and unless apology is for an action which was under your control, only that apology is valid. Apology, I cannot go and apologize for an action taken by my great-grandfather, because neither I am responsible for that, nor I am aware of the reality which surrounded that action. History is replete with such examples, that such apologies, in the old days, when the kings were defeated, they used to apologize, and the moment they have the strength enough, they'll start fight back. The same situation exists today. This apology is with a clear purpose to hoodwink, to apply ointment and salve at a wound that does not exist, that has been healed. The scars might be there, yes, but the scars are not healed by the apology. They need a change in direction. Well, you have changed the laws, and that's an apology by itself. It need not be an expressed apology, it can be an implied apology. The expressed apology, as is proposed to be done by Prime Minister Trudeau, is a denigration of the law of that time. It's an insult to the memory of those people. They have their own issues, they have their own problems. We have got to perceive the problems from their point of view as well, and we cannot condemn those actions. That condemnation, such an apology is antithetical to the basic human values. It's against law, it's against psychology, it's against the very concept. We have got to view apology as a sincere reflection and thought of action, not as a process to hoodwink people. Thank you.